He's been called one of the most dangerous men in America, at least by the fundamentalist Christian right wing. They call him Satan's lawyer, the Antichrist, and the field general of the godless armies of Satan.
I'm CBS News reporter Pete Combs. What happened to Atlanta native Michael Handman is still a matter of conjecture. If you ask Mikey Weinstein at the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, he'll tell you.
What happened to Private Handman we view as a terroristic threat, civil rights hate crime, and it should be treated that way.
We don't have much time, but we're going to get as much on this as we can from the organizer of the MRFF, Mikey Weinstein. Hello, Mikey.
Rod, how are you?
Very good, thank you. It's a complicated tale. Give us a couple of examples of people being evangelized against their will.
The wall that separates church and state, Rod, in the technologically most lethal organization ever created by humankind, which is our honorable and noble U.S. military, well, that wall is nothing but smoke and debris tonight, I'm sad to report to you and your listeners in the UK. Tell it to the judge.
Mikey Weinstein is a former Air Force lawyer who founded the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. He says it's ridiculous to tell a soldier that a suggestion to buff up his or her spiritual muscles is voluntary. And he believes the term spirituality is a smokescreen for religion, and particularly evangelical Christianity.
And that's what's been happening here. We have the United States Constitution has been screwed, blued, tattooed, and tortured by the Defense Department in an effort to try to categorize our soldiers and figure out whether or not they have the right formidable magnitude of Christianity.
Should American forces be fighting for God as well as country? Here's Susan Spencer of 48 Hours.
Weinstein started the Military Religious Freedom Foundation and got a torrent of calls.
We just recently went over 7,500 members, active duty members of the U.S. Marine Corps, Navy, Army, and Air Force, Reserve and Guard and vets, both officers and enlisted, who've come to us, begging for help.
You say you have close to 8,000 clients from all branches of the military, and most of them are Christian, claiming discrimination. What is the common theme you're seeing in these alleged complaints?
Well, Bill, the common theme is astonishing. Basically, it's the pushing of fundamentalist Christianity using the draconian specter of command influence, basically on helpless subordinate.
So, Michael, it's not exactly in the Army's interest here to have soldiers being harassed. What possible motivation, I guess, do they have to not act to protect their soldiers?
Well, I think part of the problem is that there's such a tremendous inherent bias against Muslim Americans in the military. We see it every day with the Military Religious Freedom Foundation. For instance, at some military installations, when you walk into the military clothing store, the only books that they're selling, the religious books, are the Camouflage Bible, and then another book called The Politically Incorrect Guide to Islam, which is an absolute slam on the entire faith.
Painting all of Islam with the horrific crimes of Major Hassan is as bad as painting all of Jewry because of what Bernie Madoff did, or all of evangelical Christianity with what Scott Roeder allegedly did when he shot Dr. George Tiller, the abortion doctor, a few months ago. Yeah. And it can't be done, and it is broken. I agree with the gentleman from Ceylon.
What was Glenn like?
Glenn was a man that cared passionately about everybody. He cared about, he didn't decide that you would judge or scale the value of an American citizen or a world citizen based on their religious faith or lack thereof. This is very typical for West Point. Earlier this year, our foundation had to lead the way with other organizations to stop West Point from inviting the raging Islamophobe, retired Lieutenant General Jerry Boykin, from speaking at their national prayer breakfast. It's not just that it's going on. It is being, and it's not that the Pentagon is turning a blind eye. It is being tremendously, enthusiastically pushed down upon our junior members of the subordinate members of the military. It is as ubiquitous as gravity. They know it's wrong, and it's not just wrong, it's an outrage.
Michael Weinstein runs the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, which claims thousands of members in the U.S. military who he says are endangered by the secret Bible codes.
It is a big deal. We've had many soldiers reach out to us. Some are oblivious, but many others, and the thousands are well aware that it's there. They've described it as a sick and a very scary joke, and that it allows the Mujahideen, the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, the insurrectionists, and jihadists to be claiming that they're being shot by Jesus rifles.
The Military Religious Freedom Foundation, which first brought the Jesus rifles issue to light, reacted by saying, "It's about time." Trichikon's outrageous practice of placing Bible verse citations on military-issued gun sights for weapons was an unconstitutional disgrace of the highest magnitude and an action that clearly gave additional incentive and emboldenment to recruiters for our nation's enemies.
While the U.S. military quickly condemned the hidden biblical inscriptions we discovered on soldiers' rifles, officials now say it could take a year to remove the codes from all its weapons. That does not sit well with Mikey Weinstein of the Military Religious Freedom Foundation, who first brought the situation to our attention. He joins me now by Skype from his office. Mr. Weinstein, what do you think of this whole situation? A year, they say, to remove the inscriptions.
Well, it's clearly a scandalous outrage. There's no question about it. If these were verses from the Quran or some other religious text that were on our gun sites, they would have been off probably in about 24 to 36 hours.
Muslim American in the military, you are considered someone who is suspect. They are reminded every day in every way that they are not as good, they are not as courageous, they are not as trustworthy.
The Situation Room with Wolf Blitzer.
The express purpose of this event is to evangelize and spread the gospel to all those who are lost. Soldiers are being given pieces of paper with 7 blank names on it to bring 7 more people so they will come to Christ. Pentagon, or Pentecostalgon today, is refusing to realize that when you put the uniform on, there's only one religious faith, patriotism. Their purpose is to have Christian officers exercising biblical leadership to raise up a godly army. The first was the fact that there's actually a slide that makes it clear that they're trying to teach that under fundamentalist Christian doctrine, war is a good thing.
But in America, we cannot fight them as the 10th version of the prior 9 iterations of the Crusades. We don't fight in this country for God. We fight for our Constitution. We fight for each other.
I wanted to say something. What I wanted to say is that we should be fighting as an American military our national interests, but we should not look like Christian crusaders to the people we're fighting.
Those words came from Mikey Weinstein, invited to the Pentagon to consult on religious tolerance. Yeah, this nut, who calls conservative Christians monstrosities, runs the Military Religious Freedom Foundation.
Question. We're at war. This suit is against the Department of Defense of the United States of America. So someone who says to bring this kind of issue to the front, to bring a lawsuit here, is a definition of being unpatriotic. You would say what?
I don't have to say it. I don't say anything because it was already said for me the most beautiful way it could possibly be said by the famous and glorious historian Howard Zinn. Dissent is the highest form of patriotism.
Has that old cliche, there are no atheists in foxholes, ever been proved or even proved relevant? I mean, is there any indication that atheist soldiers are less fit for battle or the aftermath than their theistic comrades?
Yes, it's been proven to be as correct as Paul Bunyan or the Loch Ness Monster. It's completely ridiculous. We have a large number of atheists that can actually refer to themselves as foxhole atheists. But in this country, we do not determine, your viability as an American citizen, particularly if you're wearing that uniform, by whether or not, you have a particular view of religion.
In 2006, some Air Force recruiters and recent Academy graduates filed a lawsuit against the Air Force alleging illegal religious coercion against cadets and pressure to proselytize to new recruits.
But what we're really seeing is Christian privilege, previously unchallenged, being challenged now.
Why is it Christian privilege? Isn't it a national holiday? Wait, Mr. Weinstein. Isn't it a national holiday? It's a national holiday, not a Christian holiday.
Bill, I know it is.
It's a national holiday.
I know it's a national holiday. Can I respond now? Please, I'm your guest. Let me just try to respond. My point is that Christian privilege is now gone, previously unchallenged, and now welcome to the land of equality. You must all share your toys.
Why can't they just opt out? If they don't want to say "so help me God," they don't have to say that part.
Well, it's like saying, why don't you just opt out of not robbing a bank, because robbing a bank violates the law.